How big, how much light, how much natural light, how much your size of your cells can be. 259 standards in prisons, and this is separate for jails and governs jails.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Mason. I have the pleasure of chairing the Citizens Bond Oversight Advisory Board. We'll start with a call to order, or call to order. And Cassie, you're going to do a roll call to see if I have an agenda. If I have a quorum.
Present.
Here.
Here.
Present. So we have a quorum. Welcome, everyone. If you're going to comment today, if you could fill one of these out and hand it to Cassie. We need that to get you into the comment period, please. One of these, and she has blank ones. For the purposes, and the notice of this meeting was properly posted on April 21, 2023. And I think I have some minutes to approve. I have minutes dated February 28th and April 11th.
Move to approve.
Is there any discussion? Any public comment? Please vote. Motion passes. The next item is a discussion of possible action regarding the planning, design, management, construction of the new Oklahoma County Adult Detention Center. Stacy, is there anything to talk about there?
No, don't have anything prepared. We put that on as a recurring item going forward because there'll probably be a lot of questions in that arena and as we get deeper into this. But if you have any issues or questions, we'll try to answer them today.
Is there any questions before we dig into the agenda? The next item is a discussion and possible action regarding new dates for the National Institute of Corrections Planning of New Institutions, Pony, June 26th to 28th. Hi, Tim. How are you?
Good. How are you all?
We're good.
So the new dates are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, June 26th through 28th. The National Institute of Corrections had to change it, but that's the date they've given us. And you all have appointed your committee. This is, I think, if you want to skip to number 5. You all have appointed 3, but Mr. Mize won't be available, and so you can choose to appoint a new third person. And then the goal is to, well, you can choose a new third person or just leave it at 2, and then we could have that seat rotating, but it's up to your pleasure.
Well, we have a third spot, so we stay out of a committee meeting situation. Would anyone else like to do it? If not, I'll show up.
I'm not sure if I'm already on it. If not, I'd like to be on it. I think I'm already on it though, aren't I?
I think you are already on it. It was, I think, you two and Mike.
What are we voting on?
We're discussing that Mr. Mize can't be present for this meeting with the Pony process, and would someone else like to take his spot?
Zoning?
Pony, the planning of new institutions. This is the National Institute for Corrections program that they come in and they give the training on the new institution. But I believe it was Javier Sandino and Mike.
Well, if no one else has interest, start with me for that
Okay.
third spot.
All right.
Thank you. The fourth item, this is exciting. We're going to actually talk to architects. Is there any discussion we need to have on that process? Chantel? Hi. Tomorrow's a big day.
Tomorrow's going to be very exciting. First and foremost, for your evaluation committee who will be present for the architect interviews, I have here a list of members under A, and you have the 3 from this board: Larry Stevens, Joanne Davis, Patrick McCoy. The Criminal Justice Authority is requesting that they also have a member, and I think this board has discussed that in a previous meeting, and they would like Brandon Gardner to be present and Mandy Phelps as an alternate. And then Timothy Tardibono, Stacy Trumbo, and myself will also be present for those interviews. This is just to bring this to you for consideration, that these are the members that will be a part of your evaluation committee for those interviews tomorrow.
Thanks. Do we need to vote on that?
I vote to accept or approve, I think, is appropriate.
That is appropriate. Any questions for her? Or a motion?
Move to approve.
That motion passes. Do we need to talk about your evaluation scorecard?
Yes, I just have a couple items on this if you'd like to speak about this now, or we can hold it for a later time, but I'm prepared to speak on it now.
Let's go now.
Okay.
And I don't think I have any public requests to comment on these matters. I got a stack here, but if you requested a comment on this process of hiring an architect, Wave your hand and I'll go find your card.
This is our original scoring tool. I sent previously after the last meeting, and I received a lot of good feedback from the members. I wanted to present that today in order to have everybody on board. What we're dealing with is a 50-minute interview for these firms to present all this information. A lot was included in their qualifications, so this is their opportunity to present their qualifications on the services they can provide. Sorry for the small print, but I wanted it in one sheet. It'd be a little bit easier to manage. I received from a request from Mr. Tardibono on item 2. He wanted to expand the question, what is your experience designing at or under budget? And perhaps expand the question stating, what is your experience designing or at under budget, especially in the case with a volatile market and a fixed county funding allocation? I think that is related to questions, and we can expand on these questions in the scorecard. And of course, if any clarification is needed during the interviews, that can be discussed at that time. My position was to bring you all the feedback from the scorecard and let you all decide how best to move forward so that all firms have the same questions at the interviews.
Questions, comments?
No action yet. That's just one item.
Okay.
I have another one also regarding similar and related projects. Was requested perhaps we put a time frame on that, whether it's recent experience related projects. From the other previous discussions, we talked about how important it would be if some firms have related experience that's not within a recent time frame. That would still be good information to know, but that with the question that's on the scorecard, we will be able to get the information from firms of their recent experience and related projects. So we can split those as being 2 items rather than one combined, so we can collect all that information. Is there any question on that? Okay.
My theory is that its related projects should be of the same size as we're contemplating for more. That'd be whatever our bid size is.
Yes, sir. Another item that was presented was regarding the experience with team members, both their individual and their subcontractors level of experience, as well as, and I received this today, Mr. Nira, what percentage of their team will be spending on what parts of the project. So I think if I understood your questions, what does their team look like? What duties will they be serving? Are they local? Are they subcontracted? And I think we'll be able to capture that here in their team introductions for the interviews. Also, we had the question regarding what work will be performed by whether their team is a part of a local firm or an out-of-state firm, what their expectation is to be here locally with Oklahoma County, and what can they accomplish not locally as well, to give a good idea of what kind of team we're going to be working with. That was also presented. And if there's anything I didn't cover, feel free to add, Mr. Mize. Yes, sir. The next part of this scorecard, other than adding those suggestions, which I think are all appropriate, would be to discuss the weight of these items. So thank you, Mr. Mize, for bringing that up. I want to make sure we're on the same page that certain components are weighed appropriately, heavier rather than others. And if there's any additional feedback on that, I'll make sure that is captured here before our interviews tomorrow. So Mr. Mize mentioned similar related projects are weighed heavily. Experience of team members, both individually and with their subcontractors, should be weighed heavily. Was there anything additional for consideration on those items or a different item. We have CMAR experience also listed on the scorecard. Scheduling, budgeting, estimating services were listed. Their ability to comply with ACA standards. Their affirmative action policy is another item on here. Their availability, their quality control processes are also on here. If there's any consideration on how those should be weighed, I wanted to make sure you all had the ability to speak on that. And that's all that I have.
Other thoughts from our committee? You want a motion or just you've received our input?
Just that maybe motion to receive my presentation or update on that.
And as part of that, with the suggestions you've received from this committee, that's not on.
Yes, if everyone is agreeable, I'll incorporate all the feedback that I received.
Thank you.
Thanks for your work on it.
Yes, sir. Thank you all very much.
Motion passes. The next item is back to this pony, which I think we covered in number 3, unless we need to say anything else on 5. Number 6 is discussion and possible action regarding the next special meeting on May 23rd this year at 1:30. Thoughts there? We good? Cassidy, do I need a motion or can you just schedule it? Okay, thank you. Okay. The next agenda item is probably why we have guests today, is the parcels of land that we're looking at. 10 sites are listed on the agenda. I think out of respect for the public, before we retire to executive session to discuss them, we're going to take this time to hear from the public. The first one I have is Gypsy Hogan. And we ask that we be thoughtful of everyone in the room for how long we talk. Thank you.
Thank you for being here for us and letting us speak. I live kind of in the heart of the Northeast area where there seems to be a lot of property owners offering pieces. I've lived out there for 40 years, and I think, lest there's a misconception, our northeastern part of the county, we seem to have been an area where a lot of things have gotten placed through the years. The city dump, the halfway houses, we have a huge mental health facility that takes in a lot of people from the county jail that, so we have a lot in our area already. I just didn't want you to get the impression that it's because we welcome it all and want more. We really have a lot of people who live out there who are concerned about the development of the area, particularly the Cross Timbers area and the preservation of that for the city. We see that as being a huge benefit for the future of the city with its ecological and its aquifer, the Garber Wellington, and the Cross Timbers, the effect of the tree canopy on the area. So we hope you'll be mindful of that when you look at these sites and see if there's not a bigger city where we could spread some of these things around. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hogan. The next speaker is Melinda Ferris.
Hello. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak. And thank you for this time. And I would like to also thank many of you on the committee for your creativity and business knowledge and how you've done such a great job to revitalize and get our county growing. And I mean, we've just done amazing. I'm here to speak regarding the jail. I see that from the list of the proposed locales, there are several options in industrial or commercial areas. I support you choosing a site that would be in one of these. I oppose you choosing a site that would negatively affect And basically, the existence of a jail anywhere near residents is a negative. And I especially oppose you choosing the Eckroat land, which is at Wilshire and Midwest Boulevard. This area currently has no city water, no reliable internet, it floods. The city council recently denied a housing development on this property for the reason that Wilshire just can't handle more traffic, and quite frankly, it can barely handle those of us that use it. And most importantly, I think the cost of transportation of inmates and attorneys from this location would just make it cost prohibitive in the long run. I mean, I'm assuming we're hoping this next jail lasts for 100 years or more. And so that's a lot of years of transporting people. And most importantly, I live in this area, and so do my neighbors. And we all live in a very beautiful agriculture area. And for me personally, if this jail is built, my morning personal time quiet time on my porch where I watch the sunrise will be completely obliterated by a jail, which is kind of scary and upsetting. But I do appreciate your time. I know this is a very, very hard decision. I hope that you'll just prayerfully consider and mindfully consider the impact that a building like this brings to any community. Thank you.
Ms. Ferris, thank you for your thoughtful comments. George Edwards.
I'm George Edwards. I live at 5909 North Kelly Avenue, and I'm concerned the state has been working for decades to clean up the Lincoln Boulevard corridor because it's the gateway and making it a fitting gateway to the state capitol. Common sense tells me, though, that putting a gateway jail complex at the actual gateway makes no sense whatsoever. Besides which is not good for the northeast quadrant, the prime development property in a county jail is not the highest and best use for that property, as you would know, Steve, in your real estate experience. Oklahoma City keeps saying that they want to improve the northeast quadrant and taking one of the last prime development areas and building a jail complex would not help the base and particularly putting in a residential area against makes no sense. However, the Oklahoma City Airport Trust at 54th and Regina seems ideal since the prisoner transfer facility, I think, is right there. And from what I understand, there's a possibility of the county moving their offices out to compact everything, and being 100 and some odd acres, that would make sense. Again, the jail complex at the gateway would negatively impact the surrounding real estate values, and I think you'd have a great deal of pushback. Apparently that's already started. And not to mention, it would have an impact on the real estate values too. That's it in a nutshell. I mean, I've born and raised on that subject property, 72 years, and I know what it would take to try to reconfigure that to make something like that, and the cost benefit would not be there. That's all I have.
Great. Mr. Edwards, thank you for your detailed comment. Our next speaker is Darren Stockton.
I hate talking in front of people. So I'm from Tahlequah, moved to Tulsa in Oklahoma City. I went to medical school here, and that was in the 1990s. And I thoroughly remember driving down Lincoln Boulevard on the way to medical school and how all the motels, and it was awful. I thought that was why OU was there, was because we could have a lot of patients that could come in to learn. So I now live at 50th and Lincoln. It is a fantastic neighborhood. It's called Thompson's Woodland, and I would encourage you to drive through. It is a gem. And the thought of having a jail a quarter mile from my house is just, I cannot believe that's even a consideration. So that's basically all I have to say. And surely there's a place in Oklahoma City that's commercial, that has the least impact on the residents. Because there's a lot of people here in my neighborhood that took off work to come here today because it's people that have lived there 40, 50 years. So that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Stockton. Thanks for taking time off to be here. We appreciate it very much.
Half day on Friday to make up.
When I was in high school, I dated a gal that lived over there. Yeah. Good gal. Pretty neighborhood. Sharon Strickland.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I am, many things have been said. I too live in Thompson's Woodland, and I can bring my personal views regarding a jail right across the street, and they're not good. I think government entities and individuals have all invested in our neighborhood, our community. We have a grocery store now on 36th and Lincoln. We're putting in the senior health center, and things are going up and better. And we'd like to continue along that path. And I believe that putting the county jail right at the gateway to the Capitol, as we heard so many times when we negotiated the PUD 1670 in 2018, would be a big mistake. And you may not be aware of how many people live in that area, but Wildwood, Burr Oaks backs up to it, and Thompson's Woodland, it really is like a secret neighborhood. It's like living in the country in the middle of the city, and it's a gem. That piece of land too has varied topography, and it would be very difficult. We'd probably lose a lot of trees and wildlife, and perhaps even cause some drainage issues. Also, the potential traffic, it's already very heavy, especially in the morning and evening, going down Lincoln from all the government businesses. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Strickland. Thanks for the recap of the progress your neighborhood has made over the years. Congratulations. Tom Tripp, please.
Well, I live in, well, thanks for having me. You guys are going to hear from a few of us, I'm sure, by the time this is all over, but we're very active with the PUD that was developed when the CLO bought the land at 50th and Lincoln. That's what we're all concerned about. You know, from my front porch at about 50th and halfway between 50th and Kelly and Lincoln, I can see this property, and it's a great set of property. The ideal use for that would probably be a green space for Oklahoma City, which they don't have. Parks Department would probably be interested, but the fuse is too short because they're going to auction it off May 11th. And so I know it's under consideration for this, but even though it is a larger parcel of the list that you have, it's topographically unsuitable. And the prior developer that the CLO came up with gave up on development because they found that the ridges that are present there, the couple of creeks that have drainage, were unsuitable for this development. So you're getting 133 acres, but the useful part of it is much smaller than that. So I think it's overpriced at that point, but that's just my opinion. I'm not an expert. But the other neighbors that had spoke prior to me have hit all the high points of it. It's just, I think, a poor use for that particular piece of land. And there are 3 neighborhoods there that, in numerous churches along there, that we got together when CLO first got this, and there'll be a fairly a big force to be reckoned with as the development of this goes forward, no matter what it happens to be. And I know that they'll all back us. But anyway, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My partner and I recently bought a home that's directly alongside the 132 acre parcel that's being considered as one of the locations for the jail. I'm a transplant to Oklahoma, so I can't say I've been living there for all my life, but my partner's born and raised here.
Would that be the Eckert parcel?
Excuse me?
Do you know which parcel you're talking about
Uh,
next to you? Is it the Eckert?
It's a 50th in Lincoln.
Oh, you're 50. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
I bought a home in Burr Oaks Road with my partner who's born and raised here in Oklahoma City. There's even a medical building named after her grandfather. And we were so happy to buy that home there. Next to that, our backyard is literally that 132 acres. Coyotes and all kinds of wildlife live there. We'd love to see it turned into a park if it was possible, something like what they have in Edmond. I know that's an uphill battle, but I can't imagine, even unless some speculator's buying it now on the hope that a jail is going to be built there. I mean, it's going to be going up for auction in 3 weeks. So I can't imagine that it's on the list unless, like I said, somebody's speculating on the fact and they're going to try to turn it over and make some money on it for the jail there. But, you know, as everyone already mentioned, it being the entrance to the Capitol and how that neighborhood's really been cleaned up. It's a gem, that neighborhood. It's really one of the best kept secrets in Oklahoma City, as far as I can tell. I haven't been here that long, but we looked around for a lot of places to purchase, and we're just delighted with that neighborhood. You know, the demographics is different than some other neighborhoods, and I'd be surprised. It just seems odd that they'd want to sit something like that right in the middle of a residential community like that. So I'm just saying, you know, please don't consider that piece of property. What's already been said, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. All right.
It is. Thank you. Thank each of you for allowing me to speak, and thank you for serving on today. My name is Joyce Willis. I serve as the Garden Neighborhood Council President. I am here to oppose um, that item number 6, as you have it listed, I-35 and Northeast 10th. Um, have the jail or detention center be housed there. I am in agreement with all that has previously been said, so I won't waste your time to say that again. But on behalf of all of the churches, businesses, and 1,000 rooftops that are in that area, we do not wish to have that in our neighborhood, and we would hope that um, no one would have to have it in their neighborhood. So I will definitely say we oppose it definitely being on the northeast quadrant on Northeast 50th and Lincoln, or Northeast 10th and I-35. Definitely. Thank
Ms.
you.
Willis,
Yes, sir.
help me here. Where is your neighborhood in relation to the 10th and I-35 site?
So our neighborhood starts at Northeast 10th and Bryan, and it goes all the way back to Sooner. So Northeast 10th and Bryant, all the way back to 23rd Street, from 23rd Street all the way back to Sooner. So the neighborhood is Garden Oaks, Garden Days, Warrior Heights, Sunnydale, and Collins Community are all 5 of those neighborhoods that are there. But there is also another neighborhood that is across from there, which is um, Edwards Addition as well. So I'm sure somebody probably will is in this neighborhood. I mean, in the audience from there as well. And so all of those neighborhoods, we are one of the oldest running active neighborhood associations. We've been there since 1953. And so we are.
So you're east of I-35?
Yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
understand now. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Willis. McBride. It starts with a G. Close. C, I'm sorry. I don't, my writing's hard to read.
My printing, I'm sorry. I'm Carmen McBride. So I thank the board for being here and for your service. I am the president of our Forest Park Neighborhood Association. Forest Park's a small community east of I-35. And we are located between 30th and 50th Street. So we oppose having consideration for the property at 10th and I-35. For one thing, besides it being around the neighborhoods, that's also a thoroughfare where so many travel, and then to have a jail sitting right there would not be the most attractive thing that you're looking for as you're going through a city. Also, Douglas High School is there on the other side of I-35. We don't think that it's a good idea to have a jail around neighborhoods, as many have been mentioned already, and to do it in a commercial space or property would be more conducive and feasible, in our opinion. So I thank you for that, and just to really consider about putting things in neighborhoods and also on the east side. We get bombarded with things all the time, things that other people or other areas of the city don't want, and then they seem to end up on the east side. So thank you for your time.
I'm Susan Hamilton, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm represent the Oakdale area, but I'm also kind of in this really weird spot where the Timber Cross area is right close to me, so I'm opposing both areas at Wilshire and Midwest Boulevard because that's like 2 miles from my house, and also at I-35 in Britton Road. We also have schools. We also have neighborhoods. I've been on my property for about 20 years, but it's been in the family for since the 40s. And so I'm sorry, I'm getting all choked up. I don't know why, but anyway, I agree with this gentleman right here that the property that's over by the transfer center, it looks like a really, really ideal place to put a jail. By the federal transfer center seems like the best ideal, because I also agree with a lot of the other neighbors here, because I'm on the east side of Oklahoma City as well, and 10th Street, Lincoln just doesn't seem like a very appealing place to have a jail. So I agree with them, and I just want to let my voice be heard and let you know that there are people in this area that, you know, we're excited to get a new jail because we know it's much needed, and we're excited about that. But we just ask for consideration that you would put it in a place that makes a lot more sense than putting it in residential area. Thank you.
Ms. Hamilton, thanks for telling us about the quality of your neighborhood. Davis?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you. I'm Denavetta Davis, 721 North Kellam, Oklahoma City, and I am president of the Northeast Oklahoma City Neighborhood Coalition, representing 16 neighborhoods in Northeast Oklahoma City. And we are here to oppose those sites that are in Northeast Oklahoma City, specifically 50th, Northeast 50th in Lincoln, and Northeast 10th and I-35. That impacts various neighborhoods. You have Carverdale, you have Edwards Community Club, Garden Neighborhood Community, JFK, so many other neighborhoods. Burr, Oaks, Thompson, Woodland are all part of our coalition, and we oppose. We are excited that there are so many locations for you to choose from, but we ask that you not select either one of the Northeast sites. Thank you.
Ms. Davis, thanks for representing 16 neighborhoods. You're busy. Okay. Jackie Hopkins. If you want to comment, you haven't filled a card out yet. Cassie at the end needs it because we're getting towards the end.
Okay, I apologize. I went to the wrong building.
grew up in Oklahoma. My dad was in the military, retired at Altus. Grew up in Altus Air Force Base, but graduated from Southwestern, but moved to Dallas, raised my family, had a career, but having an OU loving husband, we sent that daughter to OU and she married in Oklahoma. Has our grandkids, and so now we not only own a home in Texas, we own a home in Newalla. I'm here to raise my concerns about the Hera location. We're trying to sell our Texas house. We bought in this beautiful new community that's being built. I don't know how many homes will eventually fill the subdivision. There's probably a dozen now. And we caught wind of it, and that they want to buy land down the road, and I guess where there's currently a trailer park. I have a lot of objections, but I don't want to make it about me. So I'm going to try speak generally. I can't imagine putting a county jail away from your downtown area. I tried to think of the cities who would put their county jails so far out. I tried to think of, well, who goes to jail? If I could look at statistics, I'm going to guess it's probably a lower socioeconomic group of individuals and people who make very bad decisions, which can be any socioeconomic status. Now, having said that, if I'm thinking that the majority of them are struggling financially, the last thing I want to do is put a burden on their family to get to them. So I can't imagine that you wouldn't look for a more central location. So that's my first. Also, when I looked at the list, I was more than amazed at the private locations. I don't understand that if the government already owns so much land, and I don't know Oklahoma City that well, but if you already own, I can drive around it, and I've driven around it enough to realize that you've got a lot of areas that are old and they have a bad element. I guess I don't want to be degrading to anyone. Why wouldn't you try and fix them up and rejuvenate what's already? Why would you want to go out into God's country? Because there's about 4 rural locations, or take it and make it. But my time is up. So thank you for listening. Thank you for serving. And sorry I was late.
Thanks, Ms. Hopkins, for telling us about the Hera area. Okay, I have some emails here that we're gonna sort through. I have an email from Cindy Watts. Is she here? Do you want to comment? Okay, then you need to go speak to Cassie real fast, and she's going to give you a form. Okay, Cassie said you're good enough. You filled one out. Thanks. Okay, Ms. Watts.
Hi, I'm Cindy Watts. I have Bedlam Barbecue, and I live at Lincoln and 50th. I'm just here to oppose also everything that everyone else has said, mostly about the Northeast side. I've lived here 27 years, and when I came here, it was not as safe over there, and now it is so much safer and so much, so much has happened in the area, and I just hate for all of the work that everyone's done to make it a safe place and better for people, for that to be taken away, because it's taken so long, to get to that point. So, as everyone else in their neighborhoods, I know feels the same way, but that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Watts. And I really enjoy your barbecue. It's really good. Okay, I have about a page comment from a Luke Coleman. I'm not going to read it. You'll what? Okay. So Luke Coleman sent us some comments that will be incorporated into it.
Which property was that?
She would be the site south of Frontier City on I-35. I have a comment from a Merlane Anderson. Is she present? Cassie will get it into the records. I have comments from Suzanne Owens. Get that into the record. James Olden, who lives near the Lincoln 5500 site. Carrie Hewlett, who's also, it looks like, near 50th and Lincoln. Rebecca Kaufman, near the 50th and Lincoln site. Jason Wilderman, near the 50th and Lincoln site. Great. Elizabeth Wiley. And April May. Is there any of them here that would like to comment? If not, we will incorporate this into the records. And then I have a comment card from Sean Cummings. Hey, Sean.
Good afternoon, everybody. I wasn't going to comment today. I was just interested in watching. Some things that people have brought up is obviously Northeast Side gets way more of their share of undesirables than buildings, et cetera, government projects than anybody else. A couple of things, having dealt with this jail a whole bunch over the last few years, that I'd like you to consider. The Federal Transfer Center sounds great, but if you choose that, can you make sure there's a bus system so people, when they get let out at 12:01, so we can get the next day's rent, that they have a way to get back into the city or somewhere where their people are? I think that might be the biggest one because they let people out here in the middle of the night. Sometimes their shoes have been stolen and everything else, and they're just roaming around and they immediately get back in trouble again because all of the property around it is private. So you're essentially trespassing. That sounds kind of strange, but if you wouldn't mind considering that, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. And I appreciate your interest in this whole process. Okay, have we covered all the public comments? Okay. So agenda item 7 would be to retire to executive session to discuss all these proposals. I have a motion.
So moved.
And there's a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please vote. Okay, we're going to go into executive session. Thanks.
I would like to motion that we direct staff to proceed as discussed in executive session.
Just
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Mr. McCoy, I made available the ACA standards. Those were by Mr. McCoy, so I don't know if he wanted to say.
Thank you for the extra reading. So moved.
Motion, second, any discussion, we'll all vote. See you the end of May. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Do we get to, okay, done. Perfect.